Yeah,
It's 10 o'clock, Joe.
LinkedIn yet.
Morning all and welcome to the news and views on this, the Friday the 13th, with the award-winning EV Cafe, 30 minutes of what's happening in sustainable transport with expert analysis from the EV Cafe crew. Brought to you this week in partnership with Iveco and the world record-breaking van, the E-Daily. Now then, today's opinions on a stick. We can see we've got Pablo there. He's giving the thumbs up to the E-Daily. We have Sam, the twice Guinness World Record holder, and Sarah, Woman of the Year and utter legend. Are we all well?
Yes,
Yes,
indeed. Although we're
very
very grey.
well.
Everybody's got grey backgrounds on such a sunny day.
I've got a grey jumper, grey background.
I know.
So for today, Paul can be Mr. Gray. Speaking of Gray, we've got Sarah Gray in the house. See what I did
Sarah
there?
Gray's in his
Good
house.
morning, Sarah. And she was saying hello to Dev Chakravarti. Let's all say, hi, Dev.
Hey, Dev.
Hi, Dave.
How are you, buddy? Right.
DEV.
Indeed. Dev Chakravarti. Right, okay, let's get on with this. Grab a cuppa and plug in to what's been happening in clean transport this week. And coming up, hydrogen power is being used to charge battery electric vehicles in a UK military trial. That gets Sam's teeth on edge. Tuel launches swappable batteries. Yeah, swappable. Yeah, or suppositories. Tuel launches swappable batteries for electric trucks. We'll charge into that story later. Nearly half of UK fleets are ready to use AI to help manage vehicles. And this week we saw job losses announced in oil, but job growth in renewables. And the bus revolution. There are measures that have been unveiled to save vital routes across the country, but is it too late for the bus industry? We'll be discussing those and other things what cross our tiny little minds. But first, we're only just over 3 weeks away from Fleet and Mobility Live, and we are frothing for it, Paul. Are you frothing?
I am frothing. It's a brilliant event. Go on, John. You were going to ask a question.
I was. What is it specifically that you're looking forward to at Fleet Mobility Live at the NEC Birmingham, 8th and 9th of October?
8th and 9th of October, indeed. Well, do you know what I'm looking forward to is being able to meet and speak with fleet managers that are really kind of curious, because there's some great theatres and they're all free to attend. You don't have to pay to, you can get in free and you can go and listen to the talks free from fleet managers that have been there and done it. So that's really exciting. So that the fleet managers then come out into the wider audience and are able to experience the various different things that are on offer. And of course, as the EV Cafe Village, we are championing the ecosystem of transition to EV. So, you can expect charging and vehicles and providers. Europe Car, of course, are going to be there. We've already got, my head's a bit jumbled, so I can't really remember. This is not uncommon, my head being jumbled, that is. But we have, almost 2,000 visitors last year, many of whom have large fleets, many of whom have small fleets, and the small fleets are very, very important to this transition. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to get together, really chew the cud, and get into the nitty-gritty of the difficult detail and work it all through to the good of the transition for EV.
Brilliant. But ahead of that, we've got our next webinar on Wednesday, the 18th of September. And Sarah, it's called Building Cleaner Fleets. You frothing for that one?
Yeah, although you did make me laugh when you thought I meant building fleets for cleaners to travel around in, I presume. There's nothing wrong with that either. Yeah, building cleaner fleets, we've got some good guests, as always. I love the webinar. It's good fun. And actually, this morning, one of the reasons we were a little late was we were talking about how you can watch back all the other webinars on the podcast lists. So if you haven't already got a following for us, click on it. Apple's my favourite, and you can hear back all the stuff that happened before. So yeah, 1 hour on Wednesday, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'll be on sort of Q&A chat box as always. Oh, yeah, can't wait.
Good on you. We've got Tom Middleditch of Europe Car Tour, Harrods off of Spiri and Ashley Tate of All Star Charge Pass, plus the chance to win one of 6 OG EV Cafe mugs in our new interactive quiz. Tell your friends, this is one not to miss. Sam, will it be funner? Okay, so first story. Zero emissions energy firm GeoPura and the Ministry of Defence have completed a landmark hydrogen power trial, which saw battery electric vehicles charged with hydrogen power. The trial used green hydrogen power generators at 5 MOD locations to rapidly charge battery electric vehicles on site. Whilst this energy solution is being used in the commercial environment, this is the first military application of the technology, marking a significant milestone in advancing alternative energy solutions for the defence sector. Now, Sam, you mentioned as we came into the show that this is a story which grinds your gears a touch. Do tell.
No, it's the next one that grinds my gears most. But yeah, this one, look, there's certain technologies which will shine through and certain ones that won't. This might be an application where, and I'm sure there are multiple applications where hydrogen will be useful, and this could be one if it can be operationally managed and still done in an environmental way for the military. Then maybe that is a use case which could work. So they are obviously a law into their own in terms of the way in which they need to run their logistics. So it might work. It might work. So
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's a terrible idea. It's just maybe it'll work.
I guess it's down to energy resilience, isn't it? It's making sure that we've got that security of energy where we need it, when we need it for our troops. And if they're not attached to the grid in some way, they're in a remote part of the world, being able to generate renewables, turn it into hydrogen and use it to power battery electric vehicles might be the way forward. Paul, this article talks about it being widely used in the commercial world. It is being used. I think widely is a little overstated.
I think widely in terms of hydrogen in any way, shape or form is still probably a tad premature. And the reality is that battery technology, as it moves through, and hydrogen I get is a generation of energy that you can then store in a battery, but battery technology by itself could, we're mixed with solar, a much more direct process, could actually serve the military quite well, and it is something that they're all already in advanced testing with both OEMs and battery providers and stuff like that. This is something that transforms potentially the theatre of war, even taking into account diesel and other fuels. It can actually be transformative for them. It's silent. It's there's so many benefits of going to a zero emission and silent process with a slightly different heat map as well. So there's so many benefits of going to electric, but the hydrogen thing, I'm not sure.
Perhaps the
It's interesting.
unfathomable cost might not impact the military quite as much as the commercial.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
That's true. Yeah.
Sarah, you were at Cenex recently, and a little bit tells me that hydrogen was very much the flavour of the month at Cenex. Was that your experience?
Oh,
good. Well, that's marvellous. Thanks for that.
Yes, John. There was quite a lot of talk about hydrogen at Cenex. There was theatres on it,
Well,
and
I'm
a lot
back
of
now.
interest in those theatres. Oh, she's got it now.
Go, Sarah.
Well,
So,
the problem is my daughter's got a inset day at school, which means she's live streaming YouTube with such familiar phrases as OG and GOAT, both of which have been mentioned today. So I'm battling her for the signal power.
Hi,
right
Edith.
now. But yeah, hi Edith, hi. But yes, Cenex was awash with hydrogen. I'm still laughing at Leo Pickford, who was very animated in saying, "You think it's gone, and then it's back. Hydrogen's everywhere all the time." But I do think Cenex is hydrogen heavy and always has been. But there's a reason for that. Don't forget the MOD is subject to the same policy stress as all the other government departments about the 25% reduction, which is really chomping at the hip. They're going to be there any second before they know it. So I don't really blame them. And I would echo that point about commerciality. Budgets are fine for the MOD to test out new technology.
Indeed. Thank you. Right, let's move on. Chewel is launching swappable batteries for electric heavy goods vehicles to help address challenges facing commercial fleets looking to switch to zero emissions. The Powerbank Pro charging offering comes in 120 kilowatt and 180 kilowatt hour versions and can add up to 120 miles of range depending on application. Battery swaps can be completed in less than 5 minutes, and Chul said the system is compatible with existing EHGV platforms. Let's go across to our EHGV expert, Sam. What's your response to this? Because clearly, you are grinding your teeth there. I can hear it.
I despair. I mean, battery swapping is not a technology that's going to work in any shape or form because it's far too expensive. It can't be universally accepted by all the OEMs. And some of the statements in here in this article are just flat out wrong. It's compatible with existing EHEV platforms. No, it isn't, and certainly not in a commercially viable way. The transition to EHEVs has been hindered by the lack of robust and accessible megawatt charging networks. No, it hasn't. There are no production-ready vehicles that can charge at a megawatt yet. So it hasn't been hindered by that because we haven't evolved such the vehicles can take that energy yet. The EHEVs are handicapped by limited range. No, they're not. There are tons of them, including the ones within my project, that are running every day successfully within the range limitations of the current technology. What he does say is the charging infrastructure is not scaled for heavy goods vehicles. Well, yes, that's correct. That's what we're trying to mitigate. But it says it's designed to bridge the gap, providing a flexible solution that keeps EHEVs on the move. No, it doesn't, because you have to have charging battery swaps everywhere you go in order to make it viable. So if the unit has a 180 kilowatt battery in it, but you need another one to swap, that's nearly 400 kilowatt hours of battery, which is roughly the size of the current existing drivetrains of the vehicles that we have today. Thus, it negates the point entirely because you've already got all that energy in one place. You can charge it quickly and you don't have to swap and have the inherent costs and only beholden to one OEM to do it all. So the whole principle is fundamentally flawed. But, good.
Now then, let's ring that bell. Ding, ding, ding. Here comes Paul Kirby.
So I'm a big fan of Chul. I love their offering in the van sector, and honestly, I was surprised at what I considered deviation into the EHGV, and along with Sam, actually, I do agree with some of the points. I think that actually the trucks, don't break the distance of the range of the vehicles. They have 45 minutes every 4 hours as a minimum to charge. Charging is currently quick enough to kind of keep pace with the journeys that they're doing. So I did wonder, but and I challenged Phil on it, Phil Clark, who runs Chul, and actually there is government money behind these projects, and it was more a request, a response to a request rather than a development for what was perceived to be a need. So what's happening here is we're testing things, we're learning what is good, what is not. Equally in the ZHID trial, this is testing and learning, and yes, we know that it will work, but the money's still put aside to learn and give insight and data, and this is what that is. Now, I agree, some of the facts included in the PR might be a little bit stretchy and pointing a negative when there isn't one. But the point is that there's government money behind it, there's interested parties that want to test it, and there are different use cases for everything, as we've discussed with hydrogen this morning. So I think let's be open to it. Let's not drag it down too quickly. Let's get the data from the tests and the trials, and then let's make a considered decision.
Now, Sarah, your beloved Zero motorbikes. I was driving around in Crete this week and saw a Zero motorbike, fully electric, on the streets. Do they have swappable batteries in some of their smaller mopeds?
Some do. The smaller ones do, not necessarily Zero, but Maving, for example, is famed for having 2 swappable batteries. And I was in London yesterday on my Lime bike, which is the first bike I've ridden in 8 weeks, and it was very liberating, amazing. I would say. I know. And a gentleman went past in a cargo bike, and he just had rows and rows and rows and rows of batteries. So they don't move the bikes, they go to the bikes and quickly swap them out because they're all in banks now. You have to go and get them from a particular place. So the smaller application works. And Darren Anviner was just saying about how Neo has done battery swapping very, very well. Again, not here in this country and not with EHGV. And there are plenty of examples where those smaller vehicle use cases have been good. Another comment here about user error is often the problem with battery swapping. But with an EHGV, I don't think it will be someone going around in a cargo bike swapping the battery. So no, I think yeah, we'll remain to be seen. What I would say is, this is why I love the news, right? I can't open the news. My laptop won't let me open the document that you guys circulate. So I was completely wide-eyed listening to this. And Tool is based in Glasgow. So part of me just wants to kind of get behind them, see what they're up to, and hopefully they're successful with a trial that makes a difference, because their tagline is leading the way with decarbonisation. So let's at least wish them luck as a sort of soil, our own soil.
They
Indeed.
also
Now,
have
a
an
lot
office
of-
in Bicester Heritage Site.
No.
But can I just mention,
Bicester.
battery swapping is already in action in ports with
Yes.
the tug kind of vehicles. So they drive in, and there is a use case for everything. And if it's designed well and
just
you
might not be
have that use
HGV.
case, it could potentially work really, really well.
And I think that's the point that Sam was making, was that for this particular application with the HGV, and forgive me, Sam, if I've summarised this incorrectly, you are saying that's not probably the best use of that very useful technology in other use case scenarios.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lot of support.
Yeah,
what
Sarah
you're
said,
saying.
the first electric vehicle I ever owned had a swappable battery in it, and it was a small electric moped in 2001. And similarly, I ran a cargo cycle business for several years, and every single one of those had swappable batteries as well. So there are use cases, and I ran a business with swappable batteries. But as I think one of the comments said, it's small vehicles where you can pick up and carry the battery in and out. That application, 100% viable. But any bigger than that, forget it. Is my view.
Now, thank you, Sam. Thank you all. Now then, we're going to.
From Paul's examples, by the way, because they're absolutely slam dunk, because it's A to B, back to A again, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense as well.
We found agreement between the two of you. This always fills my heart with joy.
And it's the
Right,
13th.
okay,
It's Friday the 13th, and there's some happiness going on. It's crazy.
let's do some shout outs. Now, we have an incomplete record here. So I start with an apology, which is we only have data from 6 minutes past 9, where Evie Bino, Ron, he checked in. I know that there were people before that, and apologies that my feed is a little suspect. Leon Gomez, greetings from sunny Scotland. Hello, mate. Sarah Gray, already mentioned, but love you, hug you, and squeeze you. Grant White from sunny Kent. Peter Heath, he's got nice teeth. He's in from PLP. Hello, Peter. Lovely to see you here. Jennifer Smith from Schneider Electric. We'll be talking about you soon. Holly Baldwin from Greenfleet. Hello. Ashley Bannister. Happy Friday the 13th, everyone. Has anybody had bad luck today? Let us know in the comments. John Jessen. JJ, he's in the house. Harpreet Singh. Greetings. Lloyd Allen. Bristol has something. I'm not quite sure what he's got. Oh, sunshine. Bristol has sunshine. Mark Main with German. I don't do German. I apologize. I'm an idiot. Jason Gill, greetings. Daryl Sharp. Hello. Lisa Martin from Charge Place, Scotland. The legend that is DEV Chakravarti in the house. Belinda Guy. Jim Blair. Lovely to see you, my friend. Who else we got? Michael Barton. Again, he's in Bristol. Is everybody in Bristol? Economy Trucks. Hello. Do tell us, what's your real name, Economy Trucks? Dean Hedger. Lovely to see Dean. Congratulations on your 100th radio show, my friend. Rob Dustin. Hello, Rob. Heather Kennedy. Still looking after those whippets and greyhounds? Hope you are. Shane Reese. Good to see you, and thanks for your comments. Danita Brewer. Oh, now, Danita was new a couple of weeks ago.
Absolutely, Danita, and hi from me. Connected on LinkedIn. Good news. Thank you.
Oh, you connected very many, Paul.
That must be 10 now.
Yes, 22 actually. 22,000.
The aforementioned Darren Anvona. Hello, my friend. Richard Lindop. Hello. Who else we got? Let's whiz through. Lots of Sarah, which is great to see. Paul O'Brien. Matt Jackson. Sam is boiling.
Sam is boiling.
Is that like hot but more? I don't know. Leo Pickford. Hello. Martin Sweeney. Hello, my friend. Ridiculously late. That's okay. As long as you join in, it doesn't matter when you start. It's all good. Lovely to see you. Thank you for being here. We never take you for granted because you are the reason we are here. Now then, Nearly half of UK fleet managers expect to be using artificial intelligence systems before 2030 to help improve the management of their vehicles and drivers. Webfleet, the fleet management and telematics specialist owned by parent company Bridgestone, conducted a global study among 1,800 fleet managers across 15 countries as part of its 25th anniversary. Lots of numbers in there. Approximately 15% of UK fleet managers are already using AI systems. A third are planning to, and 43% are considering it as an option for the future. More than half, 58%, believe AI will help optimize route planning and logistics, whilst 51% anticipate it enhancing driver safety, behavior analysis, predictive maintenance, and asset management. Sarah, people are scared of AI, I think, and whilst you ask pointed questions about would you consider using AI in your telematics, people say, oh yeah, definitely. The reality is there's a fear, an uncertainty, sometimes a doubt. Should we be frightened of AI?
I don't think so. Not on this application basis. It's like everything we've talked about today. It's the right thing in the right place. In fact, we've been using AI without realizing it for forever. How do you think traffic lights work? How do you think systems in towns and cities work? We've been using it, but just not calling it that. We've always processed data to spot patterns and make decisions that humans can't make so quickly. However, I do enjoy the cat videos, or the one I saw this morning of somebody eating a cheeseburger that shouldn't be eating a cheeseburger that they've completely manipulated. And you yourself, John, has been manipulated by AI, which I thought was brilliant because I almost fell for it. I just wondered why your voice was more sedate than normal. So you've got to be cautious of it. I think in social applications, it's frankly quite terrifying. Lots of younger people can't understand the differences in things they're seeing and consuming, but that's not this. This is about data manipulation at rapid speed to improve business process. It's got to be a win.
And Sam, I think it's true to say that you're somebody who embraces technology when you know that it adds some value. And AI can add genuine value to the human interpretation of the things that we see.
Yeah, I'm all over this. I think it's brilliant. I mean, Sarah made some very valid points there, but AI application is very, very broad, and some of it is terrifying. Some of it has been around forever. But in this particular context, I wish when I owned a logistics company, I had the facilities to use AI to work out my routes, because the complexity of having drivers doing 250 drops a day in central London and having 50 or 60 of them out at any given time, if I could have applied some AI to that to work out a more optimized way, then that might have made a 0.5% difference on my margin. That could have been the result of hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of profit. So I wish I'd had the abilities to be able to utilize this sort of data in this context, because I think it has incredible value in the fleet world, in particular in logistics.
Indeed. Now, Ron Godfrey makes a very interesting point, Paul, and he says, AI is nothing to be frightened about, but the problems of the high energy usage aren't widely discussed. It's interesting because if we move to renewables, high energy usage is kind of offset, I guess, and the improvements, the efficiencies that we can find by using AI more than offset the use of the energy. Is that right? Or am I being simplistic?
No, you're not being simplistic. Do you remember when it was sort of stop printing stuff, ban paper, go straight to... I've got a delay, I didn't mean to talk over you, sorry. It ends up being, let's do emails instead. And then anybody that does ESG knows that that's got a humongous impact. The paper printing is the least of your worries. So you're quite right, John. I think there's a lot to be said for the energy consumption. But as we know from... Sustainability Live this week, we had some global corporations come along to talk about how difficult it is to truly understand the carbon impact of their servers, being one of the biggest measurements.
Paul.
Crack on with the next one, because we're running out of time.
And sorry, Mr. Kirby, I really didn't mean to.
It's fine.
Darren Anvona, Skynet. No idea what you're talking about.
I think it's a film, isn't it?
Is it?
Skyfall?
I think. But maybe Skyfall. Yes, maybe.
I don't know.
AI could potentially be hugely dangerous, but as Sam points out, hugely beneficial, and so it's interesting. Anyway, carry on.
Rather like yourself, Mr. Kirby. This week, Petro Ineos in Scotland, and now I'll start that one again. This week, Petro Ineos in Scotland announced that it's ceasing to refine oil into petrol and diesel due to falling demand and the massive costs to update the 100-year-old site. The Grangemouth site will become a storage and distribution facility for petrol and diesel refined elsewhere. Hundreds of jobs have been placed at risk as a formal workforce consultation gets underway. The good news is that Schneider Electric, to balance the scales, have unveiled plans to build a new £42 million factory and create 200 jobs on the North Yorkshire coast. The global energy company, represented today by Jennifer Smith of Schneider Electric, and partners of the EV Cafe, employ 450 people at their existing site in Scarborough. The firm said the new, larger site would make equipment for the move to renewable energy sources, electric vehicles, and energy-efficient buildings. It said the plant would also aim to be a net zero model for sustainable design with solar panels, energy-efficient light sensors, and electric vehicle charging stations for employees. Paul, you and I visited Schneider Electric, and we were lucky enough to be with Jennifer and Abby. They're an amazing team of people who are truly driven to deliver sustainability. Can you give some examples of some of the stuff we saw there?
Well, my memory not being as brilliant as everybody else's, I'm not the best. But I will say that, I mean, they've created an innovation centre which demonstrated a lot of the projects that they've got all around the country, bringing renewable energy straight into their microgrids, smart grids that effectively mean that you can power things very much similar to other stuff that we've talked about recently, sort of direct wiring the energy into the deployment. They've brought AC and DC kind of solutions together in one small box so that they can put everything that you need for charging infrastructure into one place and in a much smaller space. So I think what they are doing is taking the technology that they have been very used to up to this point in terms of power and power distribution, and are really trying to innovate so that it becomes much more effective and in line with the progress everywhere else we're seeing. I mean, we talked recently with somebody about wind turbines 20 or 30 years ago when they first came out, needing 10 of these wind turbines to create 4 megawatts, and now that 4 megawatts is created in one turbine. So we can see like the shrinking of technology, and that's what they're doing and bringing innovation. It's brilliant. I mean, I'm excited to see that we're doing both sides of the fence, the energy transition and also the vehicle transition, and bringing those two things together.
Yeah, I mean, it brings me no joy, Sam, to talk about job losses in a sector, oil and gas. That's going to happen. I think the joy to be able to balance these things and show that there is a new way and a different way, but there's still really high quality, good jobs is important.
Yeah, it's not job losses. It's just movement of skill sets, isn't it, to different industries?
Indeed.
And let's look at it that way.
Indeed. Right, now then, Sarah, stand by, because this is about you. The annual distance travelled by buses in England has fallen by almost 300 million miles since 2010, the government claims. Alexander Dennis, the leading UK bus manufacturer, has announced this week 160 jobs will go at their Falkirk site. And new measures unveiled today, including further franchising support, hope to empower local leaders to take control of bus services. The legislation, which will be laid out before Parliament on Monday, will give all local transport authorities new powers to run their own bus services. The bus franchising model involves local authorities granting private companies the right to operate in a specific area, but keeping control over key aspects that would include routes, timetables, and fares. The transport hierarchy, Sarah, is massively important in terms of making sure that we leave nobody behind and that we have good quality public transport that is clean and sustainable for the future.
Yeah, it's a really sad situation because it's often the sort of socio-economic demographic that is affected the most by poor bus services. That sucks. So it was even on BBC News this week about people being constantly late for work. And it's called for an action to take away those buses from private companies and put them back in the hands of the local government. Well, we only just did that. It was only 20 years ago or so that happened in the first place, and it switched around and we were like, local government are useless, let's get private companies to deal with it. But I think it boils down to the accountability. The other thing that got me thinking is my daughter's just started secondary school. She now gets a bus, and if she misses that bus, she can pay to use a public bus. So in her mind, her daily commute is on a bus. Whereas if parents, all of us, consistently drive our children to school and back and forth, they get used to not thinking about the bus. So of course, we're sort of paving out this way forward, where if you consistently prioritise the single occupancy vehicles or just private car use over public transport, it's not going to take a genius to work out that 30 years later that method isn't going to be popular anymore.
Darren Anvona, interesting comment. I was a bit confused when I took the bus at the weekend with my 5-year-old son. He was the same price as me. Your son must be massive.
Well, it's still a seat, isn't it? It's still a seat.
I think it's because they're both the same.
Fares, though. Sorry.
I think it's because they're both the same mental age.
When my mum took me on the bus when I was a youngster, she used to ask for a half, which was always nice. Yeah, 1.5, please. Yeah. There we go. Bit of history for you. Any road up. If you have any clean transport, PR, or news stories you'd like us to cover, please send them to us at hello@evcafe.org. You see, we do read them out. Last night, 9 o'clock, we got the Schneider Electric news in. It came across, script all sorted, done. Until next Friday, it's goodbye from me and it's goodbye from them. This has been an EV Cafe production brought to you this week in partnership with Iveco and their world record-breaking van, the E-Daily. Just one of a few records that we kind of associate ourselves with. Other sustainability news services are available, but this is just funner. The EV Cafe is still truly blessed to be partnered with the AA, Webfleet, Europcar, Paythrough, Iveco, Zaptec, Drax, Spiri, Stewart Science, Hydrock, Allstar, Schneider Electric, and Dynamon. We are the EV Cafe supporting the transition to clean transport. Enjoy the rest of the day and your weekend, wherever it takes you. I'm about to oil myself up and jump into something wet. Until next Friday, bye.
Bye-bye.
Was that too much?
New low.